Okay, hello and welcome to math. Let's talk quiz corrections here. As I did last time, I am going to, sorry, I need my reading glasses here to know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do both versions of the quiz here at the same time, so you can just advance the playhead to whatever you need, but I will be doing, in each case, A, then B. Okay, in each page. So let's start out here. I think what I expect most people will be doing is multiplying the whole thing through by the common denominator, which is 20. So just got to remember to do that to every term. I'll leave my 20s in red here. So 20 times 2 minus 20 times m plus 2 over 4 equals 20 times m minus 7 over 5. Now my hope is that you see, like this makes sense to you, to see these, I need a bigger highlighter here at some point. To see those 20s written like that with respect to those fractions. It's on the top of the fraction, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to say, well, 4 goes into 4 once, but it goes into 25 times. 5 goes into 5 once, goes into 24 times. So that then what I have is 20 times 2 minus 5 times m plus 2 equals 4 times m minus 7. So let's go through and finish that out. 20 times 2 is 40. Minus 5, remember I got to do this and that. So what I'm distributing is that whole thing. So minus 5m minus 10. And this is key here, that it's minus. My expectation is that's what a lot of people will miss. Equals, and again I'm going to distribute and distribute, 4m minus 28. So I'm going to add 5m to both sides. And I'm also going to add 28 to both sides. So that what I then have is 40, those sum to 0, those sum to 0. So 40 minus 10 plus 28 equals 4m plus 5m. So that's 58 equals 9m. So m equals 58 over 9. Let's make sure that's a better looking 5. Okay. In this one, a bunch of different ways you could go here. Some people might choose to add these two together first, which is a super good way to go. So I'm going to try that as a first option. And I'll just highlight it here. There we go. So my first option is 3 over 11m, and then I'm going to do 5/3, leave myself some space, 7/2, and I'm going to make a common denominator, so I'm going to multiply this by 2 over 2, because that's a fancy form of 1, and this by 3 over 3, because that's a fancy form of 1. So I'll get 3 over 11m equals 10 over 6 minus 21 over 6. So 3 over 11m equals negative 11 over 6. And then a lot of you will be tempted to cross multiply. Okay, so let's do that. So really what's happening when you cross multiply, I can't do it, I hate cross multiplication, is you're multiplying both sides by both denominators. So I'm multiplying both sides by 6 and both sides by 11m. And then what happens with my 6's on the right side is those cancel out, and I get minus 121, 121m. And on this side, my 11m's cancel out, and I get 18. So then I'm going to just divide both sides by negative 121, and I get m equals negative 18 over 121. I'm just going to grab my pencil written up key here. Make sure that the answers look like they used to. Oh yeah. Forgot a negative sign there. Good. All right, on we go. So the B version of this page looks like this. I was thinking about doing a second option here. You could also have, second option would have been, if you want to explore, would have been to take and multiply through by the common denominator, which I think is 66m. So 66m times the equation that we have here, 3 over 11m equals 5 over 3 minus 7 over 2, and multiply both sides by 66m. Sorry, my alarm's going off. Get ready. Oh, that's right, I gotta go to a basketball game. When I multiply through here, my 11, I get, let's do the halfway point here. So 66m, I'm going to multiply that times 3 over 11m equals 66m times 5 over 3 minus 66m times 7 over 2. And so I can divide out some things. 11m goes into that once, goes into that 6 times. 3 goes into 3 once, goes into that 22m times. 2 goes into that 33m times. So I get 6, let's do this in black. 6 times 3 equals 22m times 5 minus 33m times 7, which is 18 equals 110m minus, what is it, 231, I think, which is negative 121m. So m equals 18, negative 18 over 121. Same thing, second option. All right. Here, I think I'm going to multiply through by my common denominator, which I think is 30 here, 30. So I just have to remember to multiply everything by 30. So that one, that, and that. So I'm going to get 30 times 4 over, 5 equals 30 times m plus 2 over 3 minus 30 times m minus 6 over 2. And then I'm going to cancel out here. So 5 goes into 5 once, goes into 36 times. 3 goes into 3 once, goes into 30 10 times. 2 goes into 2 once, goes into 30 15 times. So what we get is 6 times 4 equals 10. Oops. Oh, my blue got away. Equals 10 times m plus 2 minus 15 times m minus 6. And remember with the 10 and the 15 here that you're going to distribute this to both pieces, and what you're distributing here is minus 15 in both cases. So that what we get is 24 equals 10m plus 20 minus 15m plus 90. 15 times 6 is 90. And so I think I will, oh, sorry, there. So I think what I will do is minus 20 minus 90. So minus 20 minus 90. And I'll have 24 minus 20 minus 90 equals negative 5m, because that's those together. So let's see here. This is 4 minus 90, which is negative 86 equals negative 5m. So m equals negative 86 over negative 5, which is just 86 over 5. Alrighty. I guess I'll do the same thing here. I'm going to multiply by my common denominator, which is 22m. I should write the words common denominator here. Common denominator. Probably should have it written up here too. They'll figure it out. I don't want to waste your time right now. So I'm going to do 22m times 3 over 2 minus 22m times 7 over 2m, because remember I'm distributing this to everything, equals 22m times 5 over 11. And now I can cancel something out. 2 goes into 22 11 times, goes into itself once. 2m goes into itself once, goes into that 11 times. And 11 goes into itself once and goes into 22 2 times. So I end up with 11 times m times 3 minus 11 times 7 equals 2, don't forget the m, times 5. So all told, that's 33m minus 77 equals 10m. So I'm going to subtract 10m from both sides and add 77 to both sides. And what I get is 23m equals 77. So m equals 77 over 23. Piece of cake. On we go. Phil would like to find a number that is halfway between negative 31 and 48, and I left you all kinds of room here that you didn't need. Halfway between two numbers is the average. So negative 31 plus 48 divided by 2, which is 17 over 2. Done. And Phil graphed this on a pair of axes. Well, we know that this is the intercept. Be more specific, the y-intercept. And this is the slope. And when we say parallel line, it means they have the same slope. So I can use point slope form. So y minus 3/5 equals, and I'm going to use that slope, 3/5, not 3/5, 3/2, right, times x plus 57. And that is the world's easiest answer. Okay, given the two graphs below, find the domain and range of each. Well, the domain here is a bit on the tricky side. So I can see that my domain starts here and goes that way. I'm writing my domain on the x-axis. And it goes all the way here until there, and then it stops. And then it starts again because I'm using this 10 here. And it keeps going to infinity. So my domain starts at -4, and it goes to 8, plus it then goes from 10 to infinity. Now my range actually, oh, whoops, come back here, red, right? I meant to put an arrow on that. Hopefully I'll remember to tell you. I will remember to tell you when you take this. So my range at the very bottom here, right, it goes down here from not -8, negative infinity, and it will go all the way up. I'll do it on the y-axis, right? So I'm using all of these y values all the way up to there. That's my highest y value. So I go from -infinity all the way up to 4. And there's no gaps in there. There's no places where I'm not using a number. The weird part about the domain was that there was this gap right there where no x's have been used. Like 9.5 doesn't show on the graph anywhere. 9 doesn't show on the graph, right? I think the domain and range for the next one are much easier. The domain is from 0 to infinity, and the range, oh, yeah, I say that and then I screw it up. The domain is from -4 to infinity, because I'm starting here at -4. And my range starts here at 0 and goes up to positive infinity. So 0 to infinity. Okay. 3B, Phil had the easiest assignment. Again, this is just the average here to find halfway in between. So -10 plus 67 divided by the number of numbers is 57 over 2, and we're done. God, I'm so nice. The easiest thing in the world. Okay. This is the equation of a line here that Phil's graphing. This is the y-intercept. And this is its slope. And what we know is when Claire says she wants a parallel line, it means that it has to have the same slope. So I'm just going to do this in point slope form. Y plus 17 equals -3/5, which is this slope here, same slope, x minus 3/5, which is that. Okay, given the two graphs below, find the domain and range of each. I'm going to do the one on the right here because I think it's the easiest. The x values go from here all the way out to infinity, so 0 to infinity. And the y values start here, and they go also up to infinity. So that's the -2 to infinity. This one, so much cooler here on the left. My x values start here. This is my far left-hand edge. So it starts here at -4. And I'm using all of these x values as I trace along the x-axis up until here, where I kind of stop at 8. This was -4. So part of my domain is from -4 to 8. But I have this other part that starts here and then just goes out to, it starts here at 10 and goes out to infinity. So I've got to have that in as well. It's okay, my domain can be in 2 parts. The range should be a little bit easier because this piece goes down to -infinity. And there are no gaps as I think about coming up the y-axis. All of these y values get used, and the highest one is here at 8. So my range is -infinity up to 8. All right, last but not least, f of 5 means we take 5 and we plug it in for x. So 5 over 2 minus 3 is 5 over 2 minus, we're going to have a common denominator, so we're going to multiply by 2 over 2. So minus 6 over 2. So minus 1/2 is our result. H of a half means I'm going to plug in a half here for x and there. So minus 2 times 1/2 squared. And I have to do that to this first, right? Because of PEMDAS, it's an exponent. So it's -2 times 1/2 times 1/2 is a fourth, is -2 over 4, which is -1/2. Huh, look at that, I get the same answer as an A. H of g of 81. So the first thing I've got to do first, I got to figure out what g of 81 is. So it's the square root of 81, which is 9. And it's important to remember that the result here is positive because it's a function. So it can only have one y for every single x. But then, once I know that g of 81 is 9, I can take and replace this with 9. So it's h of 9 that I then need to do, which is -2 times 9 squared, which is -2 times 81, which is -162. All right, if h of 8 equals -8, or sorry, h of x equals -8, then -2x squared equals -8, and we have to find x. So divide both sides by -2, and I get x squared equals 4. So this means that x equals 2, or, right, x could be -2, and that would still work, right? Because I could square -2 and get 4. So I need both of those for an answer. If f of x equals -18, that means -18 has to equal x over 2 minus 3. And we were solving for x. So if I add 3 to both sides, I get -15 equals x over 2. And I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So, oops, -30 equals x. And on we go to the last page. Yep, there we go. f of 5. So this means I'm taking 5 and I'm putting them wherever I see x. So f of 5 equals 10 minus 5 over 3, because that's where I substituted in. Oh. There. And so I'm going to take my 10 and multiply it by 3 over 3, so that I get equals 30 over 3 minus 5 over 3, which is 25 over 3. And that's my answer. H of 1/2, again, means I'm going to take my 1/2 and I'm going to plug it in for x. So H of 1/2 is minus 2 times 1/2 squared, which means minus 2 times 1/4. Remember there that we have to do the exponent first. So my result here is negative 2 over 4, which is negative 1/2. Now here, I need to do g of 81 first and figure out what that is. So g of 81 equals, g is square root of x, so square root of 81, which is 9. Now I can take that and replace g of 81 with this number. So now I have h of 9. H of 9 means negative 2 times 9 squared. Negative 2 times 81, which is negative 162. Done. H of x equals negative 18. So that means that this thing is negative 18. So negative 18, right? H of x is negative 18 equals negative 2x squared. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. And I'm going to get 9 equals x squared. And from there, x equals 3 or x equals negative 3, right? Won't that also be a solution? Because when I square negative 3, I get positive 9. You do remember that. Last but not least, if f of x equals negative 16, I'm going to plug negative 16 in there. So negative 16 equals 10 minus x over 3. Let's subtract 10 on both sides. And I get negative 26 equals, that sums to 0, negative x over 3. So now I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 3 so that these cancel out. And I'll just have x on this side. And 3 times 26 is 78, I believe. Yep. And we're done. Have a delightful day.